With the extra point, this is Erik McKinney, joined by Greg Katz. And Greg, the transfer portal has been busy both ways for USC this offseason. We've talked a while ago about the 4 transfers who came in and participated in spring ball for USC. Since the end of spring ball, USC now has announced, has announced 3 additional transfers, and then there's a 4th one coming in. So of these 4 guys, and I'll run through them. So you've got running back Darwin Barlow from TCU, a big receiver, tight end hybrid, Malcolm Epps from Texas, wide receiver Taj Washington coming in from Memphis, and then safety Chris Thompson Jr. coming from Auburn. Who's the guy that kind of catches your eye and you're either most interested to see this fall or you think could maybe have the biggest impact of that group, these late 4 transfers?
Well, I've seen video on all of them, okay? They all seem to be the type of player I would expect from their star ranking coming out of high school. But the one that I find the most intriguing will be safety Chris Thompson, who's coming in from Auburn. I think that's a position that, given the Pac-12 and passing and so on and so forth, and the Trojans are going to be looking down the future of a safety because Isaiah Palomau will leave at some point. He's a candidate. When I look at Epps, he's a big, strong, strapping tight end receiver. I think he's a reserve. That's just my opinion. But we'll see what happens when he competes with Kromanoik and some of the other ones. Taj Washington, quick, had some moments that I saw with Memphis. I know that he got a lot of acclaim, a lot of honors when he was I think he was the freshman of the year. He's a good player, but I think that he's not gonna beat out Brew McCoy. I can tell you that. He's not gonna beat out Drake Jackson. But I think for as far as stocking the shelf, his future is in the future. Barlow, the running back from TCU, I thought was a good running back, but then he got basically beat out by Evans at TCU, who was a really good player. So that might be poor Barlow. He probably said, "Oh my goodness, I was thinking I was in good position. Here comes this kid who, quite frankly, is very good." But since the Trojans lost, Step, and they had looking to replace Stephen Carr, they needed some depth. So he's that depth. If they're going to worry about what happens if we, get past our number 3 running back, do I think he's going to beat out, who's already on hand? I don't think he's going to beat out Ingram. I don't think he's going to beat out, Malapai. That's something. But from after those first 2, it'll be mighty interesting to see how it unfolds. But I'll stick with Thompson from Auburn as my choice that could have an impact.
Yeah, I think I'd lean towards him too. And he's the youngest of that group. He was a 2020 recruit. Barlow, Washington, both 2019, and Epps a 2018 recruit. So all of these guys coming over, well, I guess not all. Katie Nixon is right there at the end of his career, but a huge chunk of these recruits, they've got multiple years left, 2, 3, 4 years left with that they can spend at USC. So that's good, kind of laying foundation. Chris Thompson is the guy that I am intrigued by because I don't know if USC has someone on the roster who can do what he does, who has that kind of year of experience playing a little bit. And so I know this defense under Todd Orlando, they like to do a lot of different things and move guys around. And safeties coach Craig Nivar, he talked in the spring about, we don't have enough guys back there to do everything that we want to do. You landed Xavier Alford before the spring, and he had kind of a nice spring. Now you've got Chris Thompson Jr. coming in. You still have the 3 incoming defensive backs, 2 corners, and 1 maybe sort of nickel corner there that you're adding for the fall. So you're starting to get bodies back there and maybe able to do a few different things. I'm interested in what he does, but just to give a different answer, Taj Washington is really interesting to me. He brings a lot of speed to that wide receiver spot, and he's 5'11". He's not a 5'5", 5'6" kind of guy like that. Like he still has a little bit of size and can run a lot. I think you look at the wide receiver position for USC and you feel good because the talent is there. but the only guy is Drake London. The only guy who's done it kind of consistently at this level for you is Drake London. Still kind of feeling out how Katie Nixon fits into this offense. Kyle Ford coming back from another injury. Brew McCoy, you certainly saw enough last year to think, okay, I think he's ready to go. Gary Bryant in that same boat. I think he's probably ready to go. But when you bring somebody in, you just never know kind of how they're going to adapt and how they're going to fit. And so for me, Taj Washington's a guy where I'm very curious to see how they're going to use him, if he can make a quick impact in special teams. Because again, Stephen Carr gave you that security, returning kicks if you needed him to do that. The fact that USC needs to find a punt returner, needs to find a kickoff returner, there's going to be options for guys there. So again, you like the talent, and would I be absolutely shocked if Taj Washington comes in and he's, the third or fourth guy at one of those spots because everybody else steps up? I think that's a possibility, but boy, I also think there's a possibility where he's kind of ascending in his career and he gets a chance in this offense and he takes off and runs with it. So the most intriguing to me, I think, is Washington. The most important, I think, is like you said, Chris Thompson as a guy who can do a lot of things defensively. But again, more transfers coming in and more possibilities, I think, to see some real shakeups with what we're looking at in terms of depth chart and guys who are going to see the field in the fall. The coaches, I know this is kind of something that speaks to you as a former coach too. These coaches are not shy about shaking up, depth chart and roster and bringing guys in and making it difficult on guys who are here to see the field. And that definitely seems to be a theme where they're going to go out and they're going to use that transfer portal as much as they can to bring in talent that they think is going to help them win games in the fall.
And we all know that a lot of that talent is coming from the state of Texas.
That's 7 out of 8 transfers. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that isn't coincidence at this point. I mean, I don't think it's going to be the last we see. And we're not even talking about the people that signed out of high school, like Lake McCree, coming out and he's participating. And then you got Campbell, the running back. So I'm almost intrigued as much by what percentage of the USC roster is going to be from Texas and what percentage of it is going to be from California. So hopefully they will all blend in together and there will be a friendly rivalry and not one where they say, well, and I know this is a coach, it happens. Well, they're just going to play the Texas guys. That's where they're from. Hopefully that doesn't happen. And and I'm not going to say it's going to happen until it does, and hopefully it doesn't.
Yeah, a bunch of new guys to look at. We're impressed by the transfers in spring, and so again, this group here has a chance to impress once fall ball kicks off.
Yeah, I think it all gets down to this: if players see that another guy is really that good, they don't really care because they don't have an argument where he's from. They're all going to try to win. They're on the same team, and they need to keep that in mind.